This video was the first of a little mini-series that I wanted to create that explored specific cities within Canada. So if you're looking to immigrate from another country and move to Canada, or if you're looking to migrate from one part of Canada to another because you're already here, then this video might be for you. So thanks, Jared, for joining us. Obviously, I've been a fan of your channel for a while now with your
Oh,
analysis of the
thank you.
Calgary markets and stuff like that. So I thought, I'm going to do this video on should I buy a home in Calgary? I thought, well, who else other than Jared, to join us on the channel. So thanks for joining us. But for
Yeah,
those of
thank you.
you that don't know Jared, Jared, how about you tell us, what makes you an expert? What makes you qualified to talk about the Calgary market?
Well, one, my mom has said I'm an expert, so that's the
Okay.
best part. And
That's a
secondly,
win. That's a win.
that's a win. That's a win. She refers her friends, so that's good. No, we've been
Yeah.
we run a real estate team here in Calgary. My wife and I together have both been licensed since about 2004-5, and I was looking at numbers, and we just surpassed about 2,500 transactions that we've done,
Wow,
and
congratulations. That's a big
nearing
deal.
almost like 1.2 billion in deals done in Calgary. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, we've seen a few things.
So you're new to the game is what you're saying. Yeah.
And I wish.
Yeah,
Actually, it feels like it some days.
yeah, especially what's going on recently, no doubt.
Yeah, it definitely is a changing market, and it's super interesting. So yeah.
So are you finding a lot of people are coming from other provinces, other countries to Calgary recently? I know I see a lot of that in the media. I see a lot of
Yeah.
that in the news.
Yeah. So I think we've uniquely positioned ourselves. So we, because of our own marketing and branding that we've done through video and all that good stuff, we've talked to a lot of those people
Mm.
because they're seeing us, and people watch our channel from all over the world. Actually, I mean, talked to someone this morning in Taiwan who's
Yeah, that's
making
cool.
a plan to move here. This year, we've helped someone else from Hong Kong transition to Calgary. We've helped tons of people from Toronto, so GTA, GVA, Vancouver area. Lots of people are moving here, and it's really changed our market. So, the last big booms and cycles that we've seen in Calgary, a lot of them have all been tied to oil and gas, right? And
Hmm.
so, and and in talking to people from Toronto, the perception from Ontario and maybe eastern further
Yeah.
is Calgary's kind of like a derelict, ghost town, dirty
Slumlord
oil
kind of.
place.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly. Yeah.
And and so what has happened over the last 2 years is people have, especially from those areas, come out and visit because they're like, wow, housing's really cheap here. It's hard to afford where I'm at. I've bought I don't know, a townhouse. These are conversations I've had. I bought a townhouse for 650, whatever, a couple years ago, 3-4 years ago. Now I can sell it for 1.2, and now I've got 500,000 cash. So I'd like to come and buy a $500,000 house. Well, last year that was pretty easy. This year it's a lot harder because they all did that. A whole bunch of people did that last year. And then they went back and told their friends, and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't a gross place that's ghost townish and oil, dirty, blah, blah, blah. It's like the mountains are right there. Like you're an
Yeah, it's
hour
actually a
from
really
world
beautiful
class
city.
skiing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so I'm born and raised here. And so I've only lived a few other places, but born and raised, and yeah, it's wonderful. It's one of the sunniest cities, I think, in Canada.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe
awesome.
from what I've seen. So it's you just have this big influx of buyers that are coming into our market, and honestly, it's changing the market and what's happening here. So
Yeah. And I always found that interesting when I was growing up, as a Canadian. I was born in Saskatchewan, like Saskatoon. And
yeah.
it's interesting how you can go from being in one of the flattest places on earth to like a 6.5 hour drive, staying in the same country to like mountains and like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
actually crazy. It's beautiful country out there though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, we as a family, like I mean, I right now I have our girls are 11 and 9. And so probably 6 years ago, we were like, forget this. We got little kids. We need to embrace winter. So it's like we're skiing. We are now a skiing family,
Right.
and so things like that where you just have to just embrace what's here and do it because I mean there's so much to offer families and affordable living, and I think that's the big thing that
Well,
is so
you had
interesting
mentioned with the
that people are
Toronto
coming
and
here.
stuff,
Yeah,
Toronto, Vancouver, whatever, people coming from these more expensive markets.
yep,
Maybe touch a bit on that. Like, what are
sure.
some of the average house prices? What are some of the other
Yeah.
metrics that you're seeing for like cost of living and stuff?
So yeah, so in Calgary, this is the numbers that we just pulled recently from March, and the benchmark selling price for Calgary is actually $518,000. So it is up 17% year over year. But the crazy part is how many sales have happened. So 4,100 sales, which is a record
That is a
in one
lot.
month. Yeah, a lot of that has happened, and what's happening is our number of new listings has really gone up, have come on the market, but our inventory is still down. And so there's just that much demand and that many people that are still buying stuff. And what's super crazy is the differences between the prices. So the benchmark price for detached houses is 620, semi-detached is 478. Row townhouses is 335 and apartments are 265. So we
That's
have
quite the
a
spread.
it is really, yeah, it's a real big spread. And this year, so if anyone wants to see these numbers, more close up, you can definitely go to our Instagram page. So at Chamberlain Group, we have all those there. But that there's such a variance in numbers, and this year is when we're really going to see townhouses and condos finally taking off.
Mm,
Because as buyers get priced out of the market, as interest rates are going up, prices are going up, people are going to either have to be able to afford more or they're going to have
hmm.
to adjust what they're buying. And
Right.
so it's just a change in market. And
But
this
I
is
think
what
the ownership
happens.
too,
Yeah.
though, is like it provides ownership, right? Opportunities, right? Whereas, like, even I was
Yeah.
looking at one of the markets, it was like Vancouver or something like that. It was like this crappy little house or crappy little condo, whatever it was, for like $2 million. And I'm like it's
What?
mind boggling. Yeah, some of the
Yeah.
stuff that you can buy.
Well, and by the time this goes live, I am putting a video together where it's looking at the average price of a property in Canada is like just 715 or something like that.
Mm,
And so, what can you get for that 7 to 750 range? In some of these major centers, because I mean, Calgary does have a population of nearly 1.5 million people,
mm,
and it has some of the highest incomes. So we still have that going for us, despite everything that's happened the last couple of years. We have some of the most affordable properties still compared to the highest incomes. So that just creates affordability, and now we have people who are moving here with cash
right.
because it basically is a wealth transfer, right? They're just bringing their equity over here, and now they're going to start adding to our economy here. And so it's this upswing. What's happening here is extremely different than anything we've seen in our almost 20. Oh, that sounds like I'm old. Our almost 20 years of real estate. Like, it's yeah, it's pretty interesting.
But
So
but it's true though. Like, people who might be familiar with the Calgary market knows that it's had its big ups and its big swings
yeah.
previously, but they were never derived from the same factors, right? Like, this is a truly unique
Yeah.
circumstance that's being
Very
created here.
different than the other ones. Yeah, the
Yeah.
other ones were tied to high oil prices and things changing, and this one, yeah, there's high oil prices, but there's also wars going on and things happening and whatever. But there's a whole other element that this whole work from home. A lot of people moving here, like one of the couples can keep their job so they can get that mortgage they need. The other
Hmm.
one will find a job when they get here, or they have enough down payment that they can, they don't have to have both families or both spouses working, let's say.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different situations that are happening, and just adding to our economy, which is going to
So
change how
let's
Calgary's going to look. Yeah,
So let's talk about that for a second, because,
sure.
like, especially when it comes to the working from home thing, at least from what I'm
Yeah,
seeing on a national level, there's a lot of lenders worried that,
yeah.
particularly in urban or not urban, rural areas rather,
Okay.
that when all of the work from home programs end and employers expect to have your butt in the seat in your cubicle kind of thing, that
Yeah.
these people who have like bought in these rural areas, that you're going to see some kind of rural correction, that there's going to be this mass migration back to the center. which
Yeah.
depending on where you're talking about, maybe not. But how does Calgary fare in that?
I guess what is your definition of rural? Because people aren't moving to farms all of a sudden because they can
More
work
like
from
the
home,
acreages kind of thing,
right?
right? Like
But even that hasn't, there's been a little bit, but it hasn't been this
en masse.
no, like it hasn't
Yeah.
been this mass thing. We might see it more. Um, so what's happened is, um, well, the whole work from home thing is just allowing people to live where they want almost. There was one lady I talked to from our YouTube channel, and she said that she worked for one of the big five banks,
Hmm.
and they basically she wasn't in the IT department. She was a part of the finance side of one of the banks. And so it wasn't like, yeah, you can live anywhere. You're IT. She was involved in the finance side, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And she basically went to them and said, hey, I'm moving to Calgary. I'm out. I can't afford this anymore. I can work from home. I have been working from home and I'm going to keep working from home. And they're like, okay, because she said it cost them so much more to rehire, retrain, re-get someone when they
Oh,
know that
interesting.
now they can work from home still. So
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see this mass like we're back to what it was before. Like I don't think
Mm.
that's going to happen. Where there's going to be this middle ground, right? So instead of living close to where everyone is working, maybe they're traveling back for 2 or 3 days, a month where they're in office for some stuff and then they're virtual for everything else for that month. Like, why not? Like that is all
Well, I
things
know it
that could
makes
happen,
sense.
right?
Yeah, I know it makes sense to me. Like, especially, and the whole rehiring thing makes a ton of sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe new hires will all have to go in, but then they haven't bought a place
Yep.
in wherever, like at some small acreage far away
And every
from the
company is
city
going to be
center.
different, right?
Right.
Like it's going to be super super hard, but we never just saw people all of a sudden going, let's get out of the city to the acreages and let's run to the hills. Like
What's
it
funny
was
though is
never
we
like
have
that.
seen that
Yeah.
in Saskatoon
Oh,
actually.
really? Okay.
Oh yeah,
Interesting.
like I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I feel like there's a lot of people that I know that were like, "Hey, I'm working from home now. It doesn't matter." And like, just
Mm,
everyone went and bought a freaking acreage. I was like, "Guys, just calm
that's
down. Like, this
interesting.
pandemic is
Yeah.
a temporary thing. I hope. Like, I hope it's not going to be this long thing."
Yeah. I mean, what we did see is probably people looking for more space. So we
Mm,
definitely saw that. So they would go from needing to live like inner city, smaller infill,
mm.
from maybe that 1800 square foot,
More of a
type.
suburban.
Yeah. So then they're like, okay, now let's go to the suburbs more and move into 2400 square feet. So we definitely saw that happen. And so, but thank you to Toronto and Vancouver, those are the prices that all went up. So
Now Calgary is suddenly all affordable.
yeah, yeah.
So are you seeing a lot of migration from other parts of the country or from out of country? Like what's if you had to put a percentage, is it mostly immigrants or
Oh,
migrants?
um, in the people that we're talking to, if we're talking about people who are moving here, I would say it's definitely within Canada that
Oh
are
yeah,
coming here.
the
I
migrants.
think there's a lot of people that who are from Canada
Hmm.
and are living elsewhere, and now they're coming back. And a lot of them that I've talked to, and I think our team too, could safely say a lot of them were probably born and raised in Ontario or other places, and
Mm.
they're going, yeah, but I don't want to move back there. That doesn't make
Mm.
sense. So where
Right.
can we move? And they're coming from wherever. So now Calgary's on their radar for lots
Interesting.
of reasons, right? So
So let's talk about
percentages, I have
some.
no idea. Yeah.
Let's talk about some of those reasons then. I mean, obviously affordability is one,
Yeah.
right? Employment, I mean, that's good too, but I mean, what are some of the
Yeah.
other reasons that someone might want to move to Calgary?
Yeah. So, like you said, affordability, there is lots of employment. I mean, I don't know the exact employment percentage or unemployment
Mhm.
rates right now,
That's
but,
fine. Yeah.
yeah, lifestyle is a big thing too. In having, sunny days, close for outdoor recreation. The city itself has a ton of parks, a lot of outdoor spaces you can go to. Calgary's a very entrepreneurial city,
Yeah.
and it's kind of, I don't want to say young because it's not young, but there's definitely a different entrepreneurial vibe
I know what you
here,
mean by
right?
that, oddly
So
enough. Its
yeah,
spirit is young.
yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's everything that everyone drinks at the Stampede. I don't know, but but there's something
That's
there.
it's something in the beer, not something in the water.
That's right. I
That's,
mean, the beer at the Calgary Flames definitely has something in it that
yeah,
makes it
that's
stronger. I will say that. Yeah,
you
the
know what?
Saddle Dome has
Out of
that.
all my years living in Canada, I have never once been to the Stampede. Not once.
Living in Calgary, I mean, maybe when we're here in town, we'll go do something, but
Yeah.
it's maybe concerts or something, but it's not something that we ever were like, "Oh, let's go do
Yeah.
it," right? Like
But it
it's
attracts
an
a hell of an
attraction.
or a hell of an audience every single year,
Yes, yeah, it
which is
does. Yeah,
nuts.
yeah. Some other good things is like location and proximity in the province. So, being where Calgary's located, if you end up moving to Edmonton, to get to anything like Banff or Canmore or any of those types of places where you can, just go for the day, it turns into like a 6-hour drive.
Right.
Where from Calgary, I mean, honestly, I could get in my car right now in an hour and 10 minutes. I'm in the middle of mountains, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's just stunning and incredible. And so those are some great factors. I mean, international airports, you can fly from anywhere. Like we meet a lot of people when we're going on flights who are coming from Red Deer, let's say, which is an
Oh
hour and a
yeah.
half outside,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh man, we were just on a flight together for the last, I don't know, 6 hours, and you still have to drive an hour and a half or 2 hours home. I'm like, that sucks. So
Yeah.
just some of those things. Like it's a very connected, it's a large city. It landmass is really big. So I mean, downfalls is it really is a car city. It's
Mm.
not one of those places where you can just like Uber it and walk everywhere. It's definitely built because it is land
It's
size
sprawled
is
out.
really sprawled out. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard, I haven't looked, but I've heard things like it's the size of Manhattan. Like it's a really sprawled out
Oh, I didn't
city.
know that. Is that true? That'd be
I've
crazy.
heard it. I've never actually tried to measure it, but I've heard that for a long time. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like transportation wise, you said like you have to own your
Yeah.
own vehicles and stuff. How is the commute like?
Uh, way better than Toronto and Vancouver. It's like, I mean, and when people are saying, when people are moving here from those places, they're like, well, I'm totally open to spending like an hour in the car. And I'm like, you'll never have to spend an hour in a car anywhere.
Right.
And so, I mean, if you
Why is
do
anybody
have
okay
to,
with that?
I don't know. Like, well, if there's no other choices, then
I
that's
guess
what it
so.
is,
That's
right?
my
Like you just,
Saskatchewan mind where I'm like, if I have to drive
yeah,
more than 20 minutes,
yeah.
that is
I know, like,
terrible.
that's right. Like I lived in Medicine Hat for a year, and it was hilarious because it was honestly what 10, 12 minutes from one side to the other side of Medicine Hat.
Right.
And people will be like, man, that's on the other side. I'm like, it's 8-minute drive. Like, what's your problem?
Like if you trip and fall
Right?
over, you're there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like so it's just funny the mindset of where you're at. And for Calgary, I mean, commuting is I mean, you can definitely add it up if it's in rush hour or whatever, but I mean, yeah.
That's
So
awesome. So if someone wanted to buy in Calgary,
yeah.
how like what would be the process? What would be some of the first steps that they'd want to do to explore Calgary from say out of province?
Yeah. So if you're coming from somewhere, a great way is to start figuring out what you need to be close to by, right? And so when we're talking, like the person I talked to from Taiwan this morning, it's like, okay, well, what's really important for him? It was a certain type of schooling for his kids. And
Mm.
so it's okay, well, here's the 3 different types of schools around the city. And what is your family like? What do you want to do? And then you start kind of narrowing it down and saying, okay, well, this is really important. Now, the hard part is when people don't know what they need to
Right.
know, or just like, I can live anywhere. I'm fine with whatever. And it's like, okay, like,
Yeah. Well, in
so
that case, I got a
come,
place in the ghetto for you. Just kidding.
yeah, yeah. You want the cheapest?
Yeah, that's right.
And so really it is coming with at least something that's important. So if
Mm.
it's, really backing onto green space or being close to, I don't know, something is really important to you, whatever that is, come with a plan, come with an idea, because
Mhm.
then we can start giving advice. And so on our YouTube channel, we've probably done about 40 to 45 community profiles where we actually show video, talk about the communities, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, and so thousands upon thousands of people have watched them, and it's helped them decide where they want to live.
I could
There's
see
all these
that.
lake communities you could choose if you're moving here. There's the kind of the bedroom areas, like in bedroom cities. I mean, like an Airdrie, Cochrane, Okotoks, Chestermere.
Yeah.
They all have different feels, and again, you can get to downtown if you had to get to downtown, middle of the city, within half hour, 40 minutes on a bad day. So there's a lot of options, and it just comes down to what is important, right?
Right.
Because that helps with figuring it out, and a pre-approval. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes, you are. Just kidding.
Yes.
No, that's always important, Jared. You got to always
It's
have
always
that
important.
Yeah. And actually it always blows my mind how many people still to this day, with so many people recommending a pre-approval first, going and
Yeah.
looking at places, especially with how crazy the market is. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't
Yeah.
qualify. It's like,
Yeah. For us, I mean, in our team and how our team works, I mean, that is number one. Like, if you don't know your shopping budget and what you can
Yeah.
afford, then you can't look yet. Like, there's so many analogies you could use here.
Oh yeah.
But it's just not worth your time and energy to fall in love with something you can't even afford. Like, it's sad, actually, if people do that.
What a lot of people, I mean, we talked about the first steps. What about timing? Is there like a perfect time to move to Calgary?
We've heard people, I mean, I've moved personally in all different weather, and so as long as you hire movers, who cares? Right? Like, that is the truth of the matter. And so I mean, typically, historically, you kind of have your spring and your fall, or kind of the hotter season. So there's more people buying, more options. Summer and winter a little bit slower. But I mean, COVID screwed that up for everything, and cycles that we've had. And now we've moved into March and February of this year having the highest monthly number of sales ever. Wow. So that's out of the window. So is there any rhyme or rhythm right now? Unfortunately, it doesn't feel like it. And a lot of times, like, because of Stampede, like since 2004-05 when we started, like, you would hit Stampede week and it would be dead. Like, it would be dead all the way to like after August long weekend, and then it would
nobody wants to move.
Yeah,
because all the movers are at the Stampede.
That's right. Hosting their parties. No,
that's right.
And so there's definitely some, there is times to do it, but figure out your life, I guess, is the more important part. I guess for all of us, figure out your life. Damn it.
That's the quote of this video.
That's the quote of this video. Figure out your life. Did you buy in Calgary? Figure out your life. Yeah. But it's much more, if you have kids that are starting school, well, figure that out, right? Plan around that. Plan around your life. There's never a perfect time to do anything. It's a matter of figuring it out as you're going through. And above all, have someone that you trust. Have someone that can give you really good advice, can be patient with you, that can, guide you in the right way, and is really doing their fiduciary duties. We're putting your interests, ahead of their own, and
they're invested in your success.
Absolutely. Yeah. So finding that, and someone that like and trust. I mean, we talk about that a lot. Because you got to find them, you got to like them, and then you'll end up trusting them. So
and we'll make sure that we put your contact information in the description of this video, so that if someone wants to reach out to you, they totally can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jared, for joining us. And if anyone wants to get a hold of him, his information will be in the description. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. And you can search us up on pretty much every social media stuff at Chamberlain Group. And that's where we'll be. So.